What's up guys, Woody here back with another Gwent video, and this time it's a little bit of a different one that I don't normally do, but one I wanted to do, not to try and catch the hype or anything, just one that is I'm very interested in the topic, and it's basically based on, is Syndicate too powerful? That's the question we're asking today. Is Syndicate too powerful? Now, for those of you who've been living under a rock for some reason, if you don't know what Syndicate are, they're a new faction in Gwent. So the update, Novgorod update launched 28th of June. With it brought a complete new faction, the sixth faction to the game, called Syndicate. They have a unique mechanic where they have a bank that you gain profit to build crowns into your bank, and then you can spend crowns to do different abilities. Imagine an order ability, but there's no summoning sickness. You play the card and then you start firing away with it. This has stemmed off mostly Discord and Reddit posts or chats I've been involved with. On Discord and Reddit, there is a massive call to nerf Syndicate. And I've got some pretty strong feelings against this, to be honest. So I kind of wanted to air these out now. Now I just need to apologise, not apologise, but I just need to say two things. Firstly, apologies about if I'm a sweaty mess. It's like nearly midnight here. It is midnight here, and it is so hot. It's unbelievable. And we're only in the UK. And secondly, I'm not doing this to piss anyone off, okay? I just want to say this now. We're all adults. Even if you're not an adult, even if you're an 8-year-old kid watching this, you're entitled to opinions, guys. If you get into comments and you say, this is like, I completely disagree with everything you've said, I think they're completely broken, I'm not going to get offended. I'm not going to read that comment and be like, well, this guy's an idiot. Like, that's the joy of opinions, guys. It's opinions. Now, what I'm going to do in this video is we're going to ask two questions. Are they too strong? Should they be nerfed? And then I'm going to hopefully provide, not evidence, but a backup for my reasons, okay? It's not going to be a massively long video. It's just an opinion video. If you like the video, guys, give it a like, because I don't know. This is something I've never done before with Gwent. I've done them with lots of other stuff, but never with Gwent. And if you're interested in it, then it's one I'll do more often when topics arise, shall we say. But anyway, let's jump into this. So, in short, let's answer the first two questions, and then we can dive into the meat of actually discussing why I feel the way I feel. Is Syndicate as a faction too strong? In short, yes. At the moment, they are too strong. They can be beaten. There are ways of beating them. There are tactics of beating them. But in short, they are way too strong at the moment. On the flip of that then, should Syndicate, or do I believe Syndicate as a faction, should they be nerfed? Personally, in short, I don't think they should be nerfed. No. Now, let me clarify that. When I say nerfed, I think certain cards, there are probably, I've got a list here of 5, 6 cards that I've been in chats with in Discord, or I've played against, or I've even used, that I'm like, this is bonkers. How's this card? Like, this card is insane. And I feel like, yes, they should definitely be nerfed. Or that card should be altered in terms of its provision value or the base value it comes out at. Now, the reason what I'm saying is the faction shouldn't be nerfed is lots of people are calling for a change to the mechanics. The two big things I've seen come up in chats are, one, I've seen people don't think there should be a coin carryover. So basically what happens is, let's say I finish round 1 with 9 coins in the bank. I lose half, but it rounds down. So start of round 2, I have 4 coins in the bank. A lot of people are saying they should be scrapped, and then you start 0 coins in the bank every turn. That is like if that happens, this faction's dead in the water, like completely dead in the water, because it struggles so much then for tempo. Now, I do agree that there is insane amounts of tempo with this deck at the moment, but that isn't due to the coin carryover. Yes, it does mean that pushing them is harder, bleeding them out is harder, but that's nothing to say that people will learn how to play against the coin mechanic, and that's fine. Like, when people were first playing against Crack Control, people couldn't beat it. They had no idea how to beat Crack Control. People now have learnt how to play against Bloodthirst, and now people are beating it. It's exactly the same as coin mechanic. If you take away that coin carryover, honestly, personally, I think this faction struggles so much. Early tempo is insane. You're going to be having to play 0-point cards just to get coins in the bank, and you're going to be behind on tempo so much. That's a bad move for me. I think taking away the coin carryover is a bad move. So that's what I mean by one nerf. The other nerf I mean is people feeling, a lot of people are saying summoning sickness on the fees. Now, I can see why they're saying this. I can see why they're saying a card should come out and it should have a summoning sickness before it can start paying the fee. So there's the option to remove it, to clear it. Now that's one I can see CDPR implementing, is making the cooldown of 1, the summoning sickness, on paying fees. Again, personally, I don't think it needs it. Now these decks, for example, with like tier 1 syndicate decks, which are very, very powerful at the moment, are being beaten. They are like, I've watched a lot of streams today. I've played these strong tier 1 decks. They're starting to be beaten because people are starting to learn how to deck build against them. People are starting to learn how to play against them. And that's without the summoning sickness. I think you give some of these cards summoning sickness, I think they're just useless. They are literally going to be useless. They're going to get removed straight away. We're going to go back to the very heavy removal meta, which, don't get me wrong, Syndicate does have that at the moment. It has a lot of removal to it, a lot of potential for removal, and it can do it straight off the bat, especially something like Ewald Basordi, because it doesn't have summoning sickness. But I personally, I don't think you touch the mechanics of the faction at all. I think mechanically the faction is fine. Where the issue lies is in certain cards, more specifically the bronzes that are so cheap to put in your deck. And honestly, these bronzes are bonkers, absolutely bonkers. So that's the first part of the way. I don't think you need to nerf it as a faction. Mechanically, leave them be. That's honestly how I feel. Now, if we go into the cards, we'll start down the bottom, shall we? We'll work our way up. So the first card, I'm going to be going through cards that I've seen people are saying should be nerfed, and they're saying shouldn't be nerfed. So we're going to go through a section of cards I found. The first one I'm going to start off with is Sly Seductress. So Sly Seductress, it's a free cost based card, 4 provisions, fee of 3 if you want to give it a shield. Whenever your opponent plays a unit, boost self by 1. Bonded, whenever your opponent plays a card, boost self by 1. So people have been calling for this card to be nerfed. I don't think so. I don't think at all. It's easy to remove. Yes, it might have a shield on it. It's not that fast tempo. They play it turn 3 in a round. You've probably got a card that can lock it or a card that can stop it and shut it down. If not, it's pumping up to an 8. It's no different to Magna Division or Nausicaa Sergeant. It's exactly the same. I don't think this card needs to be nerfed at all. Leave it be. That's honestly where I think on Sly Seductress. Next, we're going to go up and we have got cut-ups. A lot of people are calling for these to be nerfed. There's a deck that's running around ranked and ladder at the moment where people play Portal to bring both these guys out. And whenever you play a crime card, like a special card, damage an enemy unit by 1. If you've got both out, increase damage by 1, so damage by 2. So basically what they're saying is they're playing Portal, but then using something like Cleaver's leader ability in round 3 to then play a crime card that does X damage or boosts a card, and then these things are going off for 2 damage on one and 2 damage on the other. They're going off for 4 damage every turn. Again, I mean, you could bump them to 5 provisions if you wanted. I feel like they're very slow to get going. They're very clunky to get going. But having Portal in your deck and these two, Portal's a 12 provision card. These guys rack up that. That's 20 provisions on 3 cards that you have to then use leader ability on to get them going. They don't boost with it, so you can play a card to lock it, or you can play a card just to clear it off the board afterwards. I don't think cut-ups need nothing at all. Personally, I would leave them be. Now, a couple of cards that definitely need addressing. And we start off with probably one of the most bonkers bronzes I've ever seen in my life. Like, how did CDPR not find in testing that this card is flat out broken? Sea Jackal. It's 4 provisions and it's a 4 body. 4 for 4. Fee of 2, you can boost self by 2, but if you have 7 or more in the bank, it boosts self by 3. So if you have a full bank of 9, it boosts by 3, so it goes to a 7. Then at 7 you press it, it goes to a 10, then it goes to 16. Like, this card, I've won games. When this has been the last card in my hand, I've used leader abilities with Gundren, and then buffed the card, had a full bank, played this, buffed up. I've got like 22 points off a bronze card last say. Like, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. So how would I nerf this card? Personally, I think Sea Jackal goes to free body. It makes it slightly easier to remove. It means something like Dipper de Ponto if you're playing against Syndicate decks. It means other special cards. It means cards like I always forget his name, the guy that drops on the Malay Road, the Scoia'tael dude who, if they're still alive, boost by 1. The dwarf that damages for free. Like, it means it can be removed by that, and I think you bump it to at least 6 provisions. Maybe 7. 7 might be a little bit too much in it if you drop it down to 3. I think 3 for 6 all of a sudden makes it a lot more. People will start thinking about running it more. At the moment, I've seen so many decks running it because it's impossible not to get 10 value off it. This card goes straight to 10 value for 4 provisions. Like, why wouldn't you run it, for crying out loud? So yeah, I think 3 body, 6 provisions is where I would go with Sea Jackal. And then next we have a card that, again, is a little bit nuts, a little bit insane, and can just completely get out of hand. And if you haven't seen it, it's the Witch Hunter Executioner. Now, when you play this card, so it's 3 body, 5 provisions, you gain 2 profit straight away. Fee of 1, give bleeding to a unit for 1 turn. If it has a bounty, damage by 1 instead. Now, this card gets carried away when it links with... I can't remember how much provisions the other card is now. I need to try and find it. But there's another card that this guy links with. Here he is. Caleb, and Caleb, profit free. This, for a fee of 3, so just playing this card with no summon sickness, you can give a bounty straight away. If you've got a full bank, you can pop this, and then you can put 3 bounties out. This card gets removed. Those cards still have bounties. That means now if we go back to Executioner... where is these 5 provisions? Down here. If we go back to Executioner, we can now start seeing, okay, so they've got 3 cards with bounties on. This card pings for 1 every time. It's insane. This card has honestly gone out for 20 value. Like, it's bonkers. And you start playing Pickpocket. If you're running Gundren, you pop leader, you clear your bank out, you pop leader ability, you clear your bank out again. Like, people are getting so much value with this card that the timer is genuinely running out. But not roping, they're just trying to get all the pings with Witch Hunter Executioner before the time runs out. Like, 20 points off of bronze is ridiculous. Like, we thought Skellige's bronzes were insane. These bronzes are even more insane. This has to be nerfed. Has to be nerfed. I would like to see it, and again, this is all my personal preferences or personal opinions. I think it goes to a 2 body. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to a 6. Maybe 7, I think, destroys the card, but 2 body, 6. It then has to stick on the board. You then have to be using 4 of your bank to then be able to match in value on it. That's honestly what I think. I think it still gets play in bounty decks, but at the moment, the way it's coming out at the moment, it's insane. This card is absolutely bonkers at the moment. And it's as bonkers as the next card we're going to see, which is Blacksmith. Now, Blacksmith is just as bonkers as Executioner. Sorry. Because what Blacksmith does is it does exactly the same, but it boosts an ally by 1. The issue here is you don't have to have a bounty on it. It just boosts an ally by 1. So if you're playing against Crack, then goodbye Bloodthirst. I've got a full bank. I just put 9 boosts all over. Next turn, I've got an engine on the board. I've got Inka on the board. It's pumping up 2 coins every turn. Every turn, I'm buffing cards for 2 just off this guy. I only need to do it once to get my value back on provisions. Like, bonkers. Again, I think this goes down to 3, maybe 2, and I think it goes to a 6 provision card. Like, it cannot stay like this. This card is flat out broken, and that's what that's what I would expect to see, or maybe want to see from Blacksmith. Now we'll start going on to some of the golds. Now anyone who plays Gwent knows that CDPR do not like auto-include cards. Any card that's not auto-include... Sorry, it's so sweaty. I'm trying to clear my head so it's like glistening on the camera. Any cards that auto-include, look at Uni and Cairo. They get nerfed. Witches, they get nerfed. I mean, you could go Cleaver, got nerfed. Gimpy, got nerfed. Like, so... These guys will definitely get nerfed somehow. Now, Horst Basordi and Ewald Basordi are insane. Like, genuinely insane. So they have 4 bodies each. Now, if you know what I do, you get 2 profit when you come, but if the other one's in the graveyard, you boost that profit by 2, so it goes to 4. For a fee of 2 on Ewald, you can ping units. Now, the Horst is not as bad. I mean, Horst is still pretty powerful because you're boosting. Where this card gets insane, and this genuinely happened to me. So I've had Bincy on the board already. I've had, like, let's say for example 4 or 5 coins in the bank. I've played this with Horst in the graveyard. It's come out. I've gone to 9 coins in the bank. I've then cleared out my bank, so I've done 4 pings of this. That's 8 damage on removal. Insane. So I've cleared maybe a couple of engines. I've cleared that board. I've then popped leader ability. Bincy's popped by 9 or by 8 because I've already got 1 still in the bank. My bank's gone back up to 8. I've put the 1 boost onto Ewald, who's now at a 5 body, making him harder to remove. And then I've pinged even more. I've just gone and ping, 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 ping. It's bonkers. It's actually bonkers. Like having the ability to do 16 points of removal with leader ability and no way of stopping it. Like, people can't stop that because this hasn't got summoning sickness. This is the only case where I'd argue that, okay, maybe these guys have an order ability rather than a fee. Maybe. But I still think that takes away the mechanics of the actual faction. I think these guys, Horst and Ewald, go to free body. This is what I would like to see. They drop to free body and they get bumped to at least 9 provisions. That way, this guy needs to get 3 pops off of his ability. So he needs to come out with 6 in the bank, pop 3 times, stay on the board to then get value past him. Same with Horst. I think they still get play. I think you put them to 3 and you bump them to 9 provisions. I think they still get play. There's no doubt that they still get play. Like, they're still super powerful. They're still super, super strong. And yeah, I think just making them a free... I mean, there's nothing with keeping them at 4. If you want to keep them at 4, fine, but they have to go to 9 provisions. Making them 18 provisions to include in the deck is so much more sensible. 14 provisions to put both in the deck at the moment. They're all to include. There's no way that I've not come across a Syndicate deck yet that isn't running these guys. And there's a reason, because they are so strong. So, so strong. Up next, we're going to go to the last... Oh, well, we're going to stop on our way, because I've seen a lot of people calling for this next card to be nerfed. And I honestly don't think it needs nerfing at all. And that is Inka. Inka is a Syndicate card. If you don't know, play it on the range row. Every ally turn, on turn end, gain 2 coins. People are saying, oh, when this stays on the board, it gets out of control. Yeah, it does get out of control if you leave it on the board. But, I mean, you can give it a shield. It's ranged row, so you have options. You can lock it. Locking does work on this, and we'll get onto locks more in a minute. You can play like... I can't remember what they're called now. The horses from Scoia'tael that move it. You can move it row. You can remove it from the board. Like, I don't think this needs nerfing. It needs to go off three times really to get value back. You could argue that 2 coins is worth 2 value. I wouldn't say that. I would say 6 coins is about worth 4 value. So it needs to stay on the board for 3 rounds. Giving it a shield is quite expensive. I don't think this card needs to be touched at all. When people play it round 3, I either try to lock it, or I try to remove it, or I'll try to row move it. I've had times when it stayed on the board and it's just, yeah, it's not. I'm worried. I've not. People can brick a lot with Syndicate. They can have bank, as in they can have 9 coins in the bank, but they might. You remove the cards that their engines that spend those coins. Those coins are useless. Like the Inka's useless now. She's racking up coins, but they have nothing to spend it with. So I don't think this card needs touching. Personally, I think CDPR should just leave Inka alone. But a card that definitely does need touching, because when I found out this was 10 provisions, I was like, are you kidding me? Philippa Eilhart. Now, I am currently reading the books. I know exactly who Philippa Eilhart is. She's like an awesome character in the books. Deploy, so it's not even a fee. Spend a number of coins equal to an enemy unit's power and seize it. So this only needs to grab a 4 powered enemy unit. So you only need to spend 4 coins, grab a 4 powered enemy unit to then get 11 power off this card to get more than your provision value. If that 4 body unit is an engine, all of a sudden, like, let's say you steal even a tax collector. That's going to give you coins. Stealing a tax collector with this guy, with Philippa Eilhart, is insane. You've got value off the card, and you're getting ramping up it. Where this card gets really insane is your coin value can go up to 9. You can, no word of lie, you can grab 9-point cards with this card on deploy. You pop it down, you still, like, the way I'd run it is, perfect example, a game I was playing earlier. Ewald Busordi on the range, on the melee row. I had 9 coins in the bank. I played Arnhart and I stole the guy that gives bounties. I think he's 5 value. So he came 5. I had 4 left in the bank. I popped Ewald twice. I then popped leader ability to then make it 9 coins back in the bank, and then popped Ewald another 4 times. So I had 12 value off Ewald. I had 13 value off this. Like, you cannot compete with 25 value in one turn. It's insane. This card has to be nerfed. Now, if we take this, like, if we look at the card this is closest related to, would be Muzzle. Now, Muzzle is a 12 provision card. But when Muzzle seizes a card, it locks it. So if you seize a 5-cost engine, and it can only lock a unit up to 5 costs, you seize a 5-cost engine, you can't use it unless you're running another card like Purify to then remove that lock. So, and this is 12 provisions, and it doesn't have a body. So the fact that Philippa Arlhart is coming out with a free body, 2 less provisions, and the ability to get a card that's 4 more power and use that card is just like, oh my god, how did they ever think this card was balanced? Like, this card is insane. It's ridiculous. This card, I think it stays at a free body. I think this card has to go to 14 provisions. I don't see any other way. Like, you can keep it the way it is. 14 provisions, it still gets run. It's still it's still a very good control card. I just think the fact that the fact that you can potentially get, yes, you're gonna have to empty your bank, but the fact that you could still get 21 value off this card with a full swing is insane. 14 provisions to empty your bank and get it is still very good value. I think realistically, most of the time you're going to be stealing 5s, you're going to be stealing 6s, so it's going to be getting around about its 14 provision value cost. This card cannot stay at 10. Simple as that. It cannot stay at 10. And the final card I want to touch on is a card that I've seen a lot of people hating on. A lot of people asking for this card to be nerfed. And I'm actually saying leave it alone. Like, do not touch this card. And that is Tin Boy. Tin Boy, last card we're going to talk about, is 4 body, 13 provisions. This card is expensive. Deploy, damage all enemy units on a row by 2. It's effectively a lacerate. Lacerate's 7, so this is 6 more than a lacerate for a 4 body. So you're weighing up, actually it's not that better, like lacerate might be better. The big difference here is the tribute. Tribute 8, which is an expensive tribute. You're talking like emptying your bank again. Damage all enemy units by 2 instead. Now, I read this card and I was like, this card is insane. I had this card play against me a few times and I was like, this card is insane. I ran the card and actually running on a consistent basis, I found out that, you know what, Tin Boy really bricks. Unless you're running something like an Ard to set up for Tin Boy, unless you're running something to actually set up for it, if they're playing, like, if you get Tin Boy round 3 and they only have 3 units on the board, you pop this guy down. Chances are in round 3 you don't have the tribute of 8 to spend. So this guy's going off for maybe 8 value, like, and that's not good value. This card bricks a lot, and I would say leave it for now. Like, if you're row stacking and you're not playing around lacerates anyway, and you're row stacking for no reason, that's just stupid on you. Like, that's you as a bad player. Like, if you're going to throw your cards on range row and you're asking for lacerate and Tin Boy, like, don't take that out on the card beating you. Take that out on the fact that you didn't balance your rows out well. I think this card stays. That's personally, I think it stays. So my last point I want to say is there is one big flaw with Syndicate, why they are way too powerful, or another reason they're very powerful is the locks, guys. Like, CDPR, what were they thinking with the locks? For those of you who don't know, let's take a card. Let's take Ewald, for example, okay? So if you lock Ewald, you're not actually locking anything. No. The fee ability doesn't get locked. Fee abilities don't get locked. Fee abilities just go off willy-nilly. Even with a lock on, you can still pay the fee. You've got the money, you can still pay the fee. Which makes me ask the question, what's the hell the point of having a lock? Why would you run lock decks against, like, why? Surely, I'm hoping that is a bug. I'm really hoping that is a bug that CDPR have looked past. I'm hoping that is not a design choice. Otherwise, you've literally destroyed Nilfgaard as a faction. Locks in Nilfgaard are a whole way of winning games. if they struggle for tempo because they have stuff like locks. If they can't lock and they're struggling for tempo, Jesus Christ, they're going to get little bums tanned. I think the locks have to be addressed. Sorry, one last card I need to talk about because people are going to be freaking out, no pun intended, if I don't mention it, and that is Freak Show. Horson's Freak Show. Insanity, fee 1, give an enemy unit bleeding for 1 turn. If Insanity was used, damage it by 1 instead. This card is bonkers good. It's bonkers good. I do think it needs to be nerfed. I think it needs to be put to 8 provisions, and that is all. I don't think it needs to be nerfed much more than that. Having a lot of bleeding going is good, but it's not as crazy good as people are going on about. This card is insanely good with Tatterwing. When you pop this down to 1, so you do 5 damage, you then consume it with Tatterwing. Tatterwing buffs by 6, but you've done the 5 damage. Like it's a 17-point play. It's huge. But yeah, this is the last card. Sorry, I haven't got on my list and I've skipped past it. Horson's Freak Show. I think keep it a 6 body personally. I think it needs to go to an 8 provisions. But yeah, so that's gonna pretty much wrap it up, guys. I just want to clarify and wrap it up. So as I'm saying, okay, I don't think Syndicate gets nerfed. I think if they gets nerfed, I would genuinely be a little bit upset to see it getting nerfed. I think if they address the cards that I've mentioned, if they address the cards that we've seen in this video, not necessarily changes I've said, God, I don't work for CDPR, but changes to them somehow, I think we start to see a lot more balance. Now, just to put into perspective, guys, I went back through, yes, I believe it or not, I've done this. I went back through every single meta snapshot from Team Azure and Leviathan, and looked at what like the meta, the tier 1 decks were. Skellige have had a tier 1 deck in every single meta snapshot for the last 6 snapshots. Like for the last 6 seasons, guys. That's insane. Like that is genuine. Like every season, Skellige have had a tier 1 deck. Now, yes, they changed because they have nerfed Skellige cards. They nerfed the whole discard package and all stuff like that. But what I'm trying to say is, Skellige are a super powerful faction. Super powerful faction. Yes, Syndicate, certain cards in Syndicate are broken at the moment. But I think if you start addressing them as a whole faction, if you start really nerfing them as a faction, I think you then make, like Skellige, just go bang back on top. And then these guys will be sat in the middle of the pack again. I'm not saying they should be stuck on top. What I'm saying is we need to let the dust settle. People are already learning how to play against against Syndicate. Like I was watching streams yesterday when it dropped, and I was seeing people take in crate decks that have been ran for the last 5 weeks. Like literally 2-dimensional crate decks that you can find anywhere on the internet. They're the same copy and paste deck that everyone's running, and they're taking it in and they're getting thumped by Syndicate, and they're going, this faction's overpowered. This faction. I'm like, well, maybe why don't you just take a bit of creativity and actually learn to build against a new faction? People have not been deck building because they haven't needed deck build. The meta's been set for a while. Yes, there's been some bamboozled decks going around, like flying around on ladder and flying around ranked, but the actual general meta has kind of been set for a little while. Skellige have dominated for a long time. Scoretel were very close behind. And it's just going to take time to learn how to play against a new faction. People will need to learn how to deck build against a faction. Yes, I think you nerf the certain cards I've mentioned, the faction is a lot more balanced. I think you nerf the faction as a whole in terms of summoning sickness or no coin carryover. I think you then make it Skellige goes back on top. I think Scoretel goes just behind. I think Syndicate sits in the middle with Northern Realms and Nilfgaard. Like you make it summoning sickness, you're turning it into another engine deck. Everyone knows how Northern Realms engine decks work. Your engines stay, they're great. They don't stay, you lose. Do we want that with another faction? I don't think we do. I don't think we want another Northern Realm faction, okay? Northern Realms are great for what they do. Like I said, when they stay, they win games. I think we want to mix things up, and I think CDPR need to nerf those cards ASAP. But I think before they jump ahead into making any bigger changes, they need to not ignore what people are saying, but they need to just step back and go, well, let's see what happens. Let's see what our pro players or our top tier players, how they deck build against it. And let's see what decks start going around to beat and counter Syndicate. And then we know what they're like as a faction. Okay, throwing them straight into the current meta and saying how do they compare against the meta is an unfair judgment, because the meta's been stale for the last 4 weeks. You need to give them a chance to people to build against them. Okay, Bloodlust is getting loads of play now because it gets rid of Floridanian and they don't get that card back now. So certain cards that have been dead for a while are now coming back. Just give people a chance to play those cards and see how it plays out. I honestly think you make any big changes to them as a faction, you're giving it back to Skellige. And I would like to see Syndicate up there with Skellige. I would like to see another faction competing with Skellige, because I find Skellige very boring. I find Skellige very two-dimensional. I find Syndicate a lot more fun to play. Yes, they're overpowered at the moment in terms of some of their cards, but in terms of their mechanics as well, the deck building, as someone who likes deck building, the creativity that you can come up with deck building is so much more there than there is with Skellige. That's maybe, again, a personal opinion. But I'm waffling now, guys. I'm ranting on. I'm going on for ages. I'm going to wrap it up there. But please, 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 please jump in chat. If you're still here and you heard my full opinions on Syndicate, please jump in chat and let me know what you think. Do you think they should be nerfed as a faction? Do you think Summoning Sickness is a good thing for them? Do you think Coin Carryover is a good thing, a bad thing? Like I said, guys, I'm I'm 33 years old. I can take licks on the chin. If you call me an idiot, call me whatever you want, okay? I'm not going to be offended. I love the Gwent community. And jump in chat and please let me know what you think about Syndicate. Like, what you want to see happen. Do you think they should be nerfed, not nerfed? Like, yeah, like, have you played against them? How are you finding it? Just everything like that, guys. But that's going to wrap up, boys. I could be talking here for ages. I'm probably well over what I wanted to be talking about now anyway. But thank you so much for stopping by, guys. If you are still here, again, thank you so much. It really means a lot. And as I said, I do love the Gwent community. If you like the video, then give it a little like, because it really does make me happy. And if you want to keep up to date with more Gwent stuff, it's normally new to Gwent videos. I like doing content for new players. Deck videos, I am working on a couple of, like a Horson deck that I'm going to be putting up soon. I'm holding off on it for now because I want to see what card changes come, because I'm pretty sure card changes come in the next couple of days. But yeah, I kind of, yeah, if you want to keep up to date with more Gwent stuff, then just subscribe, guys, because it makes me happy. It makes me smile. Every time that little count goes up, I genuinely get a bit of excitement. I'm like, yes, people like what I'm doing. But that's it, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. Until next time, have a great day, morning, evening, whatever it is where you guys are. And goodbye. Cheers.